Hello and welcome to the intro episode to A Ball and a Chance podcast. I'm your host, Angela R. Lewis, and I am so excited that you chose to join us on this journey. A Ball and a Chance started 20 years ago. Not the podcast, because podcasting didn't exist 20 years ago, but the idea of A Ball and a Chance and programming around A Ball and a Chance started 20 years ago. I'll dive into that a little bit more in this intro episode, but this podcast started because I believe that sports is the first system that most young people are a part of, right? We always talk about the confidence, discipline, communication, how to win, how to lose, how to have friendships, all of those things that sports teaches us. But there's so much more. Here's what we know. The numbers don't lie. There are 30 to 40 million kids that participate in organized sports every year. In high school, there are about 8 million student athletes that compete. And then in college, 2 to 3% of those high school athletes play in college. So that ends up being around 700,000. Now, less than 1% of those college athletes will ever play professionally. Sports was never designed to produce professionals. It was designed to produce people. And so many people focus on sport without really thinking about what else it can bring. Recently, I went to a college basketball game with one of my cousins. And we went to this game to watch my other cousin, who's a graduate assistant at this other university. We went to see University of Texas play against Ole Miss. And so I'm with my younger cousin who's in college, and we went to see my younger cousin who is a grad assistant with Ole Miss, and he's in graduate school, obviously. And then after the game, I met up with some other cousins who are both college aged, and everybody loves sports. Everybody plays sports. And so much of our conversation was around the games, their favorite teams, and they begin to ask questions like, I wonder what careers exist in sport, all of them. From the one that's a grad assistant, of course, he wants to be a head coach. To my other cousins who are still in college, they want to work in sport or work around in the industry of sport or industries adjacent to sport. Even more so many people in my family played. I played NCAA Division I basketball. I played professionally. I've coached college basketball. I've even coached my niece's 5th grade team. So sport for my family and for many families, because 30 to 40 million kids are playing in the United States, sports is such an important fabric of our lives. Now, I don't know about your family, but my family, there isn't anyone who works specifically in sports with a franchise or with an agency. And so this podcast, in honesty, is selfish. I'm not even gonna lie. This is for all of my little cousins and all of my friends' kids and everyone that I know who loves sport, but doesn't really understand what it takes to work in sport or to be around sport. It's also for all of those who are interested in entrepreneurship. I've been blessed to meet so many amazing entrepreneurs, particularly because of my background in sport. It's a ball and a chance. Sport gives you a chance to meet people globally and connect globally. And I've been blessed to be able to meet some dynamic people. So we're going to talk to them on this podcast. So if you have an interest in sport, if you have an interest in business, this is the place for you. We'll also talk about life and how do you care for yourself and be a great teammate. Teammates is important on the court and any sport that you play, but a life filled with teammates is one that you're looking for. So we're going to talk about how do you build authentic relationships and friendships and community to ensure that you can have a fulfilling life. And sports provides so much joy and so much insight into that. So A Ball and a Chance is not just about sports, as I mentioned. We are about mentorship, access, storytelling, life beyond the game, but so deeply, deeply connected to the game. Last year, my father passed. And as I reflected on my time with my father, sports is what kept us connected, like so many dads and daughters. When my dad's health began to fail, he was calmed only by watching documentaries. So we watched so many sports documentaries. We watched Coach Prime. We watched Vince Carter. We watched, even the WNBA finals. It was Atlanta and the Indiana Fever. No, Dallas Wings. It was Dallas Wings and Indiana Fever. And we watched Mike Tyson. I mean, we watched so many documentaries about sports. And I saw Dad begin to engage more and to light up a bit when he see the different movements on the field or on the court. My point is, sports connects us and bonds us in ways that not too many other things can. I mentioned I played professionally. I played in Germany. We're going to talk on this podcast about global experiences, how sports is a global language, how you literally don't have to speak the same language as someone and you can get on the court with them and have an incredible time. This happened to me when I played basketball in Germany. There were people on my team from Romania, from Russia, from Canada. I know Canada's close to the US, but I still hadn't ever been there, nor had I met anyone from Canada. There was someone on the team from Russia. There was Russia, Poland. My coach was Polish. I didn't even speak the same language as my coach. She spoke Polish and Russian. And anytime she wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with me, she would call her son and talk to him. His name was Peter. I still remember countless conversations with Peter. She would call Peter, talk to Peter, hand me the phone, and then Peter would translate. This was before Google Translate. I'm like, a little bit how old I am. Nevertheless, we figured it out. And it was an unbelievable experience to go to Germany. I also did a basketball clinic in Manizales, Colombia. I hopped on the court, not speaking Spanish, and I would say something, and then the coach of the team would translate for me. And we had this incredible 4-day event. And when you're in it, you pick up things along the way. My favorite saying in Spanish is "Cómo se dice?" It's how do you say? How do you say? And that's how you learn, by asking questions. So basketball can allow you and connect you to people all over the world. Basketball and other sports also. Here's what's a little different about this show that you are not going to get on many other podcasts that are sports related. I believe that there's this great divide culturally. We talk about millennials and Gen Zs and baby boomers and all these different generations. And we are positioned as opposing forces. On this podcast, we all coming together because we all love sports. You go to a sporting event, you're going to see people of all ages, all races, all backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures. Sports does a great job of bringing people together. And on A Ball and a Chance, we're coming together. So not only will you have interviews with sports executives, I'll have conversations with sports executives. I'll have conversations with entrepreneurs. I'll have conversations with young professionals who work in sport or who play sports early on, because everyone has something that they can teach. And everyone who I talk to has had everyone who I will talk to, their life has been impacted in a very meaningful way through a connection to sport. So that is the key area that is going to connect people who are on this show. So you're going to hear from some young people, some former athletes, people I deeply admire, and people who are still coming into their story. There may be some teenagers who I interview because oftentimes their voices aren't heard enough. Now, why teenagers? Okay, stay with me here. I always talk about what I did as a player, playing professionally. I always talk about what I did as a coach, having coached my niece's 5th grade team, NCAA Division III, NCAA Division I, coaching a professional team, the St. Louis Surge. What I have missed out on sharing more openly and broadly is all of the youth development work that I've done. That is really the center and core of my heart and love for young people, and the programs that I have created, led, and ran. So I've done everything, y'all, from after school programs to weekend programs to college tours. I've created seminars. I mentioned A Ball and a Chance started 20 years ago. Here's where this comes into play. A Ball and a Chance started 20 years ago as a mentoring program. Yep. So it's not a surprise that 20 years later, I'm having this podcast called A Ball and a Chance, which is centered on mentoring. I am the same person at my heart and soul as I was at 23. You do the math. Okay, so this mentoring program started with me being in graduate school and having a communicating amongst teams class. That was the name of the class. I got my master's in communication. So we had to do a project. And that project was a mentoring day with the young women at Metro High School, where I was coaching in St. Louis. Shout out to the Panthers. And St. Louis University, where I played college ball. Shout out to the Billikens. And the basketball players from St. Louis University met us at Matthews Dickey Boys and Girls Club. Shout out to Matthews Dickey. That's the Boys and Girls Club where I grew up playing. So the college players met us at the Boys and Girls Club. We did basketball drills. The head coach at the time, Shimmy Gray, Miller, talked to the team. The college players talked about their experiences playing ball in college and what that took. And many of those young women from that team, from the high school team, went on to play college ball. It was unbelievable. So that's when A Ball and a Chance started as a mentoring program. From A Ball and a Chance as a mentoring program, I also, a few years later, hosted a series for former college athletes. No, I hosted a series and former college athletes were on the panel. We had 3 series. One was former college women's basketball players. The second was football players. And the third, 1, 2, 3. And the third was former men's basketball players. And I moderated 3 panels, 3 consecutive weeks, where parents could bring their student athletes and learn about what it takes to play at the next level. Let me get a sip of that coffee. That was the second version of A Ball and a Chance. First version was a mentoring program. Second version was a 3-part panel series. The third version of A Ball and a Chance is a children's book. And it is in final production now. It will be out in March. And this book sums up everything that this podcast is about. It's about culture, connection, using sport to find your place and finding community. There's more, but we'll get into that in later episodes. So that's the third version of A Ball and a Chance, and this is the fourth, this podcast. This is the culmination of everything that I've been working on, that I've been working toward, that I've been working for without ever knowing it. So this podcast is all about love. If you know me well, I'm all about the love. This is about the love of sport, the love of young people, the love of growth, the love of becoming. I have to share with you one thing a mentor said to me, because this is about mentoring. I was meeting up one day with a former professor. He was a professor in undergrad and graduate school. My bachelor's and master's degrees are in communication. And we went to dinner. And I was in my early 20s. Young Angie was like on fire. And so I remember I had this big vision all mapped out. There was like a central point with a business and lines pointing here, and publications and basketball camps and magazines and media, all of these things. And I showed it to him. Y'all, here's what I was expecting him to say. That is amazing. You can do it. You're incredible. Go after it. No. He looked me dead in my eye with a very monotone and said, looks like you have a lifetime of work. And I was like, okay, whatever. You know how if you have younger cousins or children or someone who is younger than you, but doesn't have a context of what it actually takes to accomplish what they're showing you, you know, that like kind of eye roll. I didn't give him the eye roll because I'm respectful. However, I did it in my soul. because I wanted it all then at 25 or 26. I wanted it all then. I wanted the big vision then. And the wisdom that Dr. Krizak left me with was, this is a lifetime of work. He knew my passion for young women and helping them grow and thrive. He knew my passion for basketball and connecting culture. He knew my passion for leadership and growth and communication. And he said, you have a lifetime of work. And he was right. I could have never predicted 20 years ago that we would be in the 4th iteration of the brand A Ball and a Chance. I didn't even know it was a brand. I was just doing what I enjoyed and helping people connect and using sport as an avenue to teach life skills. I had no idea that we would be here. But God, I'm so grateful. So grateful. So thank you for joining this journey with me, to be able to use sport as a connecting tool, as a motivating factor to teach us exactly how to look at the chances that we get in life, be grateful for them, and for the people who cross our path along the way. I'll give you a little line to close out this intro episode from my new book, A Ball and a Chance. And in life, we're going to have a lot of difficult things that happen. Sports teaches us how to continue to work through those things. So here is the line from A Ball and a Chance. It's new, it's hard, it's possible. With courage and heart, you'll be unstoppable. I'll say it again. It's new, it's hard, it's possible. With courage and heart, you'll be unstoppable. I want you to be unstoppable. Move past your fear. Go and do the things, even though you're afraid. That's the courage. And then have the heart to get back up every time you fall. That's what heart is. It's new, it's hard, it's possible. With courage and heart, you'll be unstoppable. Be unstoppable. Join us on this journey of A Ball and a Chance. I would love to hear your thoughts on the episodes. Leave us a 5-star review. If there are people that you want me to interview, now, this is for my young people, okay? Because I'm going to send this out to all my little cousins who I adore. And say, who do y'all want me to talk to? Who should I talk to? What are you interested in? If you are a young person, young meaning like adolescent, young professional, and you are interested in a certain industry, let me know. Let me know. And I will reach out to some people and we will get them on this podcast because I want you to know what opportunities exist. I want to make sure that you know these doors are open for you. Another mentor told me, the world is your opportunity. And so I want you to know that the world is your opportunity. There are people in places all over. You do not have to be limited to the community you're in, to the city you're in, the state, even the country. Look, I have some stories about living abroad that will blow your mind. So thank you again for being here and for listening to this intro episode. Stay tuned for all that's coming up. I want you to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Angela R. Lewis. The R is for rebound. No, it's really for Rochelle, but Angela R. Lewis. You can come to the website, angelarlewis.com. You can find me on Instagram, the Angela R. Lewis. And of course, our YouTube channel is The Angela R. Lewis. And lastly, I started a Substack because I love to write. I'm back to writing and I'm so excited about these articles that have been written. So angelarlewis.substack.com. Go ahead and subscribe, totally free, and check out those articles as well. So thank you so much for joining. Coaches, if you're here, share this with your players. There are tons of great information that will be coming that can be helpful for them for their personal and professional development. And I'll see y'all on the next episode. Be unstoppable.